Mrs. McDaniel, if you could lead us in the invocation, and Mayor, if you could lead us in the pledge.
Would you all bow your heads and pray with me? Heavenly Father, thank you for this evening where we can gather and lead the city of Streetsboro. Thank you for the opportunity. Lord, please guide us all with wisdom tonight. Please help us to remember the oaths we have taken, Lord, and help us to make decisions that benefit the residents of our city. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
The flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Caroline, can you please call roll?
Mr. Hannon? Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
Ms. Wagner?
Here.
Ms. McDaniel?
Present.
Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
I'd like to make a motion to recess out of the Special Service Committee meeting.
So moved. Second.
Well, I made the motion.
Oh, second, sorry.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to recess out of the Special Service Committee meeting and into the regular council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are in recess.
Okay, I'd like to call this regular council meeting of Monday, July 28th to order. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Here.
And
Oh, here.
Ms. Wagner?
Here.
Reading something, sorry.
McDaniel?
Present.
And Ms. Glenn?
Here.
Mr. Ring?
Here.
Mr. Mishniak?
Here.
All right, we're going to skip down to item 10, Mayor's Report, Mayoral Appointment per CAC. Mr. Mayor, floor is yours.
Thank you.
Did you turn your mic off?
I've done this before. We have 2 appointments to PERCAC. This will bring us up to, I guess it's full staffing on PERCAC. The first one I'd like you to consider is Eileen Fitzsimmons. She would normally be here, but she is hospitalized at the moment, and she has served us faithfully on a couple different terms. She's been a member since 2017, and she was here before in 2010. She's a very valued member of PERCAC, and I know that they're supposed to be here when they get appointed, but I would ask that you make an exception since she is pretty well known to us. And I'm asking that you vote to approve Eileen Fitzsimmons back to the PERCAC.
I'll make a motion to accept and ratify the mayor's appointment of Eileen Fitzsimmons to the PERCAC board.
Second.
We'll go first and second to accept the mayor's appointment of Eileen Fitzsimmons. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Eileen is confirmed.
The second person I'd like council to consider is John Dunger. John, could you come to the podium, please? John is new to PERCAC. He had sent a letter of interest and a resume with you guys, which is included in your packet for your review. I am very happy that we do have some new faces on PERCAC, and hopefully he becomes a valued member as Eileen is and the rest of PERCAC is. If you have any questions, John is here, and if not, I would ask council to approve John as a member for PERCAC.
Good
evening. Hi.
Good evening. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. I don't have any questions. I think you've
Thanks for volunteering.
supplied enough info in your letter. Any other council member have questions or?
No, I'll just make a motion to accept and ratify the appointment of John Dunger to the PERCAC committee.
Second.
I have a first and second to accept the appointment of John Dunger to the PERCAC committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, Mr. Dunger is confirmed.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard, and thank you.
We look forward to it.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll entertain a motion to recess out of regular council.
So moved.
Second.
The first and second to recess out of regular council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are recessed. I'll make a motion to reconvene special service.
Second.
First and a second to reconvene the Special Service Committee meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we are reconvened. Item 4, special business. Item A, T7808, zoning text amendments to various sections of the code regarding detached accessory buildings, small solar facilities, and accessory use list. Mr. Cheskowski.
Thank you, Mrs. Glenn, members of council. What you have before you are text amendments that were recommended for approval by the Planning Commission at their July 8th meeting. As outlined in the cover letters that I provided in the packet. There are 3 elements to this, changes to detached accessory buildings, small solar facilities, and accessory use lists. I'll hit on some of the high-level points and then can answer any questions that council might have relative to the detached accessory buildings. The reason we put that first was we linked the locational and lot coverage requirements for the small solar facilities to those within the detached accessory buildings. So that's why I put those first in the packet. Generally, we're proposing to become more permissive for the location of detached accessory buildings in the OC and RR districts. We've had a number of variances recently requesting placement of detached accessory buildings in the side yard and in some instances in the front yard. What we have in the draft allows by right in those 2 districts, detached accessory buildings, to be located in any direction relative to the principal structure, provided that they are not located in the required front yard. In the OC district, that's 100 feet from the right-of-way, and in the RR district, that's 150 feet from the right-of-way with septic and 130 feet for a property that has central sewer. I guess the other thing we had done relative to detached accessory buildings is we added the RT district. In reviewing it, we noticed that the RT district was omitted. There are RT zone properties in the city. They are vacant and undeveloped at this time, but in the event that a subdivision is built in the future on those properties, we wanted proper restrictions in place. You'll also see that we changed the setback for detached accessory buildings in non-residential districts adjacent to a residential district based on the height of the structure. As I said, in general, the location and lot coverage requirements stayed the same. We just reorganized them. We also added a few exceptions. The exceptions we added were for, right now, detached accessory buildings are required to be 10 feet from the principal structure. We added an exception for open air canopies and pergolas, allowing those to be located closer than 10 feet to the principal structure. And then in non-residential districts, we added an exception for drive-through parking and outdoor seating canopies, provided that they were not located in the required front yard. In the B district, that required front yard is 50 feet from the right-of-way. The second element of what's in front of you are the small solar facilities. This is proposed to be a new chapter added to the general provisions. We added definitions. As I mentioned, for ground-mounted small solar facilities, we linked those requirements to the detached accessory building regulations, and then added height, screening, lighting, and abandonment provisions for small solar facilities. In terms of the accessory use lists, that was primarily a housekeeping-related revision to add small solar facilities to the list of permitted accessory uses in every district. And then there were a couple of zoning districts that did not have an accessory use list. We revised those districts to be in line with all of the other zoning districts in the zoning code. Be more than happy to answer any questions. The Planning Commission did not have any changes to the draft text as presented.
Mr. Mayor.
John, I just wanted to point out, these new, they don't affect any of the solar it's all.
Could you turn your mic on, please? Thank you.
These don't affect anything that has happened in the past. It's only going forward.
That is correct.
Okay.
All zoning regulations only move forward. They are not retroactive.
I had a gentleman ask me that question, and I just wanted to put on a record that, yeah, everything prior to now, these are new. These will be what the planning goes by now, but anything prior to that would be and was approved.
That is correct.
All right, thank you. I'm not turning it off.
Mrs. McDaniel.
Thank you, Mrs. Glenn. Mr. Chiskowski, thank you for this. You know, I'm always in favor of being more permissive, so I'm excited for that. I had a couple of points I just wanted you to elaborate on for clarification. One was the addition of the word use, building or use, right at the beginning of 1151.21. Can you elaborate on what use means? So if there's no building, here's the scenario I thought of course, being rural residential thinking.
Yep.
If I have vacant land that I'm using for agriculture, can I put a cow barn on it?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, that was just a,
Yeah. And so
is that a use?
That is correct.
Okay.
So what we wanted was an instance where a non-residential district was adjacent to a residential district. In some residential districts, they permit non-residential uses. So if we have a larger setback required adjacent to a residential use for a non-residential district, we want to also cover those non-residential uses that are permitted. So didn't want to just link it to the district, also wanted to link it to the use to catch those instances.
Okay, thank you. I just want that to be clarified, just for my understanding. And then, one other question I had, Section A, some of my other questions were answered, so that's super, but Section A, location, item B, it says, for all other residential districts or uses, detached accessory buildings shall be located behind the rear building wall of the principal building. I'm wondering why behind the rear building wall, only because perhaps someone would want something along the side. And you know more than me, so I would just like to have clarification on why maybe not the front building wall, if someone would want something alongside their principal dwelling.
So detached accessory structures and
Yeah,
garages, they are primarily intended to be accessory to the principal dwelling. So you have the house. You don't want your garage to be located in front of the house, generally. On most streets in the R1 district, you'll see an attached garage or a garage that's set behind the house, further from the road than the house.
right.
In those same districts, the side yard setback is often not wide enough between the house and the side property lines to accommodate a detached accessory structure in that side yard.
But if it were and it met the setback requirements, this would prohibit that.
That is correct.
So I'm just wondering, because it would be covered by the setback requirement, if it would be better to read as behind the front building wall. So if someone did have the opportunity and weren't excluded because of the setback requirement on the side, if they wanted something along the side, that would provide for it.
So that's essentially why we pulled out RR and OC.
Okay.
Generally, those are large enough lots where you have, and there's a large enough required side yard setback for the principal structure that there's enough space next to the house to also accommodate a detached
Sure.
accessory structure. On most of the other districts, R1, R2, R3, those are higher density districts, smaller lots.
Right.
I think the setback on most R1 zone properties is 10 feet for the principal structure. To put up a detached accessory structure in the side yard, you would not be able to comply with the 10 feet from the principal structure and the 5 feet from the side property line, and still have a structure that's of a usable size.
Okay, I just didn't know if there'd ever be an instance that someone might want that, but I guess in that case, they'd come to you for a variance.
That is correct.
Okay.
We would rather that variances be used for the exception.
Okay.
Which is a big reason why we're undertaking these changes.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had on that section. I have stuff for solar too.
You have more things?
I do.
Okay,
Nobody else
continue
has
on,
any.
Mrs. McDaniel.
I have some questions about solar, seeing that this is new, so I just want to understand better. Let me get to that so I can. Okay. So I'm first looking at section A, definitions, number 4. Small solar facility means a solar energy system and associated facilities with a single interconnection to the electrical grid and designed for or capable of operation at an aggregate capacity of less than 50 megawatts. Is there a frequency of measuring those megawatts? 50 megawatts when?
No, so that's a measure of energy.
Right.
And the reason that we defined it in the way that we did is that it's my understanding that anything greater than 50 megawatts is controlled by the state. So we are preempted from regulating anything that's not a small solar facility, that's a larger.
So help me understand this. So it's just if the panels or panel you have at any time can produce 50 megawatts?
In the aggregate. So if
Aggregate.
you need, it's mine, and I haven't done the math, but you need several, almost, I think, hundreds of panels.
Yeah.
Your normal size panels to get to 50 megawatts.
Okay, right. I agree with that. I just wasn't sure if there'd be like a frequency of needing the measurement, or it's just what they can produce.
It's the way that the state laws, and Joe, if I'm misspeaking or speaking out of line, but it's my understanding that 50 and above, or above 50 is handled by the state.
Okay.
Preempted, local regulation is preempted by the state. We simply wanted to define that the only thing we are looking to regulate through this subsection are those that we, per the state, have the ability
Okay.
to regulate.
Okay.
Which is in the aggregate 50, no more than 50 megawatts.
Okay, I think that clarifies it for me. My brain just went to a measurement of time with the measurement of power and what's the time. So I think that clarified that for me. Then in section B, letter B, number 2, letter B, letter D. The windows, siding, and exterior materials. I see all of the other materials up to 100%, up to 100%, etc. But then when we get to this part, anything public right-of-way facing is not permitted, and then non-public right-of-way facing is up to 25% as an accent. Why is that?
So it was, and this is for integrated solar system, so it's they now have shingles that have solar elements included in them. They have siding that has solar elements included in them. They're getting better at blending them into the normal building materials, but they're not entirely there yet, particularly as it relates to windows. And so what we did not want was somebody to retrofit the entirety of their street-facing facade with solar facilities or solar-capable materials. Understanding that they look a little bit different than normal building materials. We were okay with that on the non-front-facing portion of the property. But that was why we did it. It was more of an aesthetic consideration, understanding that yes, you can use it, but only as an accent.
But you can't use it if it's facing the public right-of-way.
Correct. I apologize if I misspoke. So you can use it on your side and rear building walls. You can use it on your front-facing roof. but not your front-facing windows or siding.
Well,
In doing a little bit of research on the windows, they've come a long way with translucent solar capabilities, but they're still not there. You can still tell the difference when you look at a window that's got a solar element in it. That's the primary reason for limiting them on the primary facade of a commercial building.
But someone could go and redecorate their home with any garish decor, and that's allowed, but they're not allowed to put certain solar items because at this time they're not aesthetically pleasing, right?
That was our thought process when we put this draft. Limited it to 25%.
I personally would like to see it be just allowable, because if someone can decorate their home with whatever, go pick up antiques, change the siding color, paint the shingles and the door, and it's ugly, they can do that. So if they can put 100%, up to 100% on all these other areas, even if it's ugly, they should be allowed to do it for their windows, siding, and exterior materials, in my opinion. So I wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, and it might just be me, but.
And that is a policy decision that council can choose to make. I think primarily our thought was less a residential application and more a commercial application in this case.
Even so.
But that's the thought process behind the draft and the limiting it on the public facing right of way side of the building.
So it's aesthetics.
Yep.
Does it really look that bad? These windows, they look that bad?
It doesn't look bad. It looks different.
Okay.
Than regular non-solar integrated building materials.
Indifferent looks bad, I guess, is what it sounds like. Could you bring us an example maybe for next time? Or, I mean, I'd like to see next time. Maybe you could send me email, show me what they look like.
Here, look.
Yes?
Sure. I'll just throw my 2 cents in here. A lot of cities regulate, it's like this, right? We want to create a harmonious, aesthetically pleasing neighborhood and city. Solar panels, things like this is something that is within the city's control. So that's why I think, if I'm not overstating why you went this direction, a lot of cities significantly reduce the amount of solar panels that residents, private people can have. Usually they're to the back part of the roof, not facing the street. So from my perspective, looking at this is a pretty expansive and pretty open solar policy compared to a lot of the other cities I worked in. Just my 2 cents.
Okay. Well, I still think we could be different than other cities. And if it's just for aesthetics.
You know, there's nothing relative to that change or making that 100% that irks me or makes me feel like we're risking a lot. I let you know where our thought process was when we put together the draft. If you guys decide you want it all to be 100%, I'm fine with that.
Okay, well, maybe that's something we can think about. We have time. But I just wanted to bring that up. I have more if I may.
Go ahead.
Okay. Number 3, letter D, height. I was doing some reading, and it might seem like not much, but I was wondering why you guys set 6 feet as the limit versus 8. As I was reading, oftentimes 8 is more of a standard, but can you tell me about why you guys made this decision?
It was primarily because of the permitted fence height.
Okay.
Shielding.
Yep.
Also, under number 3, letter E. Don't we already have, this is regarding the visual buffer and screening. We already have distance and setback requirements, and this sort of relates to the aesthetic thing, and I might be alone in my thinking. but having to have a visual buffer of natural vegetation, plantings, and/or fencing to provide reasonable visual screening to minimize view of and noise from the solar energy system on adjacent lots and from any public right-of-way. Recently in the city, we've had people who have had issues with sounds that nobody else seems to think is an issue, or think something looks bad that nobody else thinks looks bad. And to me, if we already have distance and setback requirements, and we're having certain parameters that have to be met anyway, requiring people to also hide it, I don't see the need for that. If it's within their parameters of setback, distance, height, I don't see why they have to be required to hide it with anything.
Keep in mind that that only applies to ground-mounted solar energy facilities.
Right. Well, that's what would have to be hidden, but I don't really understand why we have to require that. Because you might have someone put up some vegetation. Well, that might not be enough for neighbor on this side. It might be enough for neighbor on this side. It's relative. And if they're following where it's allowed to be, how tall it's allowed to be, what it's allowed to be as far as megawatt producing capabilities, do we have to require that they hide it?
No, that was a recommendation.
Okay. And it's another aesthetic thing.
That is correct. We didn't feel like either neighbors or people driving down the street would want to be looking at large or small ground-mounted solar facilities, which is why we added the buffer requirements.
I'd like to see that taken out personally, but again, it could just be me. Moving on. Number 4, maintenance. This talks about keeping everything maintained in good working order. Who's monitoring for that? How is anyone going to know if a panel is in good working order? What's the plan?
I think maintenance is the title of the section, and yes, I see the first sentence speaks to maintained in good working order. I think it's more about abandonment and taking care of the situation if the facilities are abandoned and no longer working, than it is maintaining them, so to speak. If I drove past a solar facility, I wouldn't be able to tell from afar if it was working or...
Well, right, that's what I thought. So I thought, is it appropriate to have that language? And it might be appropriate to have that language, but I thought, well, are we watching if it's in good working order? Or are we just going to know when it's abandoned? Are we going to know if it's abandoned?
I think the real issue is if someone has a bunch of broken panels on there, we want a method to be able to enforce it and send an inspector out and potentially get them involved with the building department. Really, that's what it's designed for. That's my interpretation of it.
Okay. So if it's looking good but not working, not a big deal. If it's looking terrible and we
I
know
would say
something.
who would really know except
Right.
the homeowner,
Right.
but
So if it becomes an eyesore, then that's where this applies. Yes?
That's where the first...
Okay.
Okay. And that makes sense to me, but I wanted to just clarify that because I thought, well, how are we going to know if it's even running, if it looks...
And then the rest of the provisions in that subsection address abandonment of the facility once it's no longer in operation.
And one other tiny little thing, there's a typo in the last sentence of that paragraph. I think it should say shall, not stall. So if that wants to get corrected, unless you want it to say stall, but I don't think so. Okay, a couple more things.
Lisa, where was that?
The very last sentence of number 4.
Page 2.
After it says energy system.
Solar energy system, it says stall stand. I think you want to say shall.
That is correct. Good catch. Geez, I read
You know
this
me,
thing.
typo finder.
That's what we have her up for. She's the typo person.
Selected. Okay, a couple more. Thank you for your patience. Letter C, zoning certificate requirements. This is probably what I have more concerns about than anything. But 3A, I would like to know where it says compliance with applicable requirements of Chapter 1152. what are the applicable requirements? Is that clear? If I flip to 1152, is it going to be very clear what those requirements are?
Bear with me for
Okay.
1 second.
And I didn't really go poking around because I thought I'll just ask you.
Well, isn't that where you added it to the detached accessory is in 1152?
I think what we were doing here was pulling in the general site plan review requirements. That's what's in 1152, but I just want to double check that I'm not misspeaking.
Okay.
So yeah, 1152 is a site plan review chapter, and that requires an environmental assessment report, design guidelines, but there are elements of that apply to normally when somebody's constructing a new building, putting in parking, lighting, everything. When you're putting in a solar array, there are a good amount of those requirements that should be looked at, but would not apply for a project of that scope.
Okay. My final comment, and then I'm going to kind of wrap it together, is letter E. I am not okay with saying that we would require any other information or materials requested by the planning and zoning director. That's hugely open-ended. I don't think we should say that.
Don't we say that in other places in our code? Like,
Yeah.
we say that all over the place in our code.
It kind of gives you the latitude on a case-by-case basis. If something wacky comes through the door, you can say, I wouldn't normally want this, but because it's so close to a church or so close to whatever, I think in this case it makes sense for you to provide a photometric plan. That's just an example.
I think all of this in section 3 is a lot for the average person who might want to put up a solar panel. I can see complying with the requirements of 1152, although having a whole site plan review to put up a solar panel in your yard or on your roof or
Keep in mind, Lisa, that only applies if it's greater than if they're doing more than 25 panels.
where does it say that? Oh, I see. That's for
Only
non-residential.
for non-residential.
So, but for residential,
That's one, C1.
okay, so 3 doesn't apply, clarify for me, 3 does not apply to residential at all?
And 3 would only apply when 2B, small solar facilities that are accessory to a non-residential use including greater than 25 panels.
Oh, I did not understand it that way.
Yeah, so we've got residential is 1, non-residential is in A, less than 25 panels, B, more than 25 panels, and then if it's more than 25 panels, then C3 and those requirements apply.
Oh, that did not make sense to me. It looked
Yeah.
like 1, 2, and 3. It looked like it applied to anything.
That should be indented and be
Yeah.
a small c, and then the ones under it should be indented even further. If that only applies to B, then the way you have it written here and the way this is laid out, anybody who reads normal stuff would say that's its own paragraph and it applies to everything because it's not a subsection, it's its own section. I would make that a subsection, format it differently because it's not a subsection and nowhere does it say it only applies to 2B. Nowhere on there. I read it the same way she did because it's not a subsection.
It says B says shall be subject to site plan review or site plan amendment review.
Yeah.
And approval, and then small solar facility site plan review, site plan amendment requirements. So you've got residential is one direction, less than 25 is another.
I understand, like, you can read it that way, but a layman's not going to read it that way.
I did not read it
Yeah.
that way.
I would just subsection it.
Yeah, because I was starting to have a conniption, John, thinking, what? A resident who wants to put up a solar panel has to give you data specifying the megawatt size and hazardous materials containment. I'm thinking, what? So it does make sense how you've explained it, but the way it's laid out here, I'd like to tweak it if we could.
We'll work with Jim to make sure we
Average people like me. Okay, thank you. That's all of the questions that I have. Thank you so much for answering them.
Yes, Mr. Ring.
Thank you, Ms. Campbell. I just wanted to touch on some of the things Ms. McDaniel brought up. As far as the windows, siding, exterior, I'm fine with allowing it on the windows 100% because they don't look that bad. I just looked them up and it's not, to me, that's not that big of a deal, but the siding, yeah, I don't think I want a house sided with solar panels in my neighborhood. I don't want to be looking across the street, there's a house sided with solar panels. So I would recommend we remove windows, but leave siding and exterior materials. That's my opinion. As far as the visual buffer and screening, we require that a lot of other places where we build stuff. It's part of the beautification for the city. You don't want to drive down the road and just have nothing but solar panels in your face. You at least want some kind of breakup, even if it's a couple trees that break the sight line or a fence where you can't really see it very well. I disagree with taking that out. Again, my opinion. As far as I think that's all I had. Yeah, that's all I had. I just wanted to share my thoughts on those two. Thank you.
Mr. Hannon.
Thank you. I had a question on the megawatts because I had no idea what a megawatt was until I looked it up. But 50 megawatts, and I am not knowledgeable in this subject at all, but according to Google, 50 megawatts can power like a lot. So I'm just wondering if at some point within this regulation, and I know that it said, it needs to not power more than what's on the site, but I'm wondering if there's any way that somebody maybe that wants to put a solar farm or something in that can misconstrue this and put in like a bunch of solar panels because it says 50 megawatts in there. I don't know what that actually is, but maybe you can help me understand it a little bit better.
So John, I am not an expert in megawatts and how many solar panels it takes to meet the number of megawatts. It's my understanding that the state law draws the distinction between what they regulate as 50 megawatts and above, and what municipalities can regulate as anything less than 50. And that's the only reason we reference the 50 megawatts here in the regulations, is so that it's clear that we're only trying to regulate what the state allows us as a municipality to regulate.
You need between 142,000 and 250,000 solar panels to create 50 megawatts.
So I looked up what 1 megawatt is, and it says that a typical megawatt, it requires between 2,200 and 3,125 solar panels.
Yep.
And then I looked up like a typical residential solar panel. This is probably a bigger one, but 5,400 watts, but like I've seen ones that are 400 watts. So like, I'm just wondering if someone who is knowledgeable in that subject may come in and try to take advantage of something like this.
Joe, if you have
Sure, I don't think they could. 400 watts, that's 0.4 megawatts. A typical house, you could probably run on anywhere between 10 and 20 megawatts, depending on what type of appliances and what type of stuff you're doing. A stove will take 3 to 5 megawatts just to run electric range. 50 is not a huge number, and especially here in Ohio, we're probably not going to get close to that type of generation without a massive array, if you ask me.
I just don't know if there's like a misunderstanding of maybe just between everybody here, like what a megawatt is, because I feel like if the state regulates over 50 megawatts, that's probably those big open area, right. Whereas everything under is, but 45 megawatts is still probably pretty large. I know that we don't want someone to come in and take over a bunch of land and put up a bunch of solar panels.
So keep in mind here, John, we kind of built in the protection and we listed them as an permitted accessory use.
I saw that. I saw there's other sections.
right? So they would have to be accessory to another permitted principal use.
Yeah.
And it's only allowed to generate for that principal use.
Correct.
So you can't take the power and store it somewhere else. You have to directly generate the power for that use. So
But what if someone has like, I don't know, what if there's like a huge factory or something like that, and they say, hey, we're going to build this big thing next to it, right? And it's generating power for that facility. It's still like maybe not something like the city of Streetsboro wants. And I know that like we're not, if you put it on a house, right? It's not gonna, you're not gonna take all your land and just put a bunch of solar panels just to power your house. But somebody may do that for a factory in our industrial district, which may be something that we don't want. And I'm just hoping that, I think because of 50 megawatts, people may take advantage of that and do something like that. Maybe if there's a way we can find out what that actually is and limit it a little bit, just because of what information is available to us.
Well, this is controlling this. The reason that 50 is listed is not to say, hey, you can have up to 50.
Yeah.
It's listed to say we as a city are allowed to control what you do up to 50. And that's what we're doing here. So it's not you have permission to use 50. I guess you could if you wanted to, if there was the land, but I don't think even in the industrial area, there's land that's going to fit 250, 500,000 solar panels. Unless they use up all that land on Phillip over there that's not used. But, this isn't, how else would we word it? Like, would you want to say, well, we can regulate you up to 50, but we're not going to allow you to generate more than 10? Is that what you're thinking of? Like,
Well, like what if we put, if we found out that 1 megawatt was more than what we wanted to allow, we put up to 1 megawatt. That way, an industrial park couldn't come in and just say, hey, we're going to use this unused land and we're going to put in a solar panel to help.
Well, again, I guess they can't use the unused land if there's no principal structure on it. So they can't buy the land next to them unless they consolidate the parcels. But
So we have some built-in protections, John, in here through the accessory uses and through the limitation on power generated that I think in and of itself is a protection.
And I saw that. I just, how people can, just here, we, two different people read something differently than you. So if it ever comes to that point, like someone could fight that and say, hey, you know what? This is what this says. This is how I interpret it. And this is what I'm going to do. So I'm just making sure that there's.
Well, technically they can.
Yeah.
This code doesn't stop them if they have the land and they have a principal structure on there and they have enough land to put up 300,000 solar panels and they have the money to do it. This does allow that. It doesn't disallow it. There's no stopping it if they meet all of those criteria. If you want to put a limit on it, we can, but I think any limit we choose is just going to be arbitrary at this point.
Well,
What do we say? One megawatt, 10, 5, 3.
John, and to protect yourself is not allow ground-mounted solar facilities. That would address, I think, your concern.
Yeah, because that's like what typically those are, like if they put it in.
And I have seen other communities just prohibit ground-mounted solar facilities, understanding the conversation that we had when we put the moratorium in place. We retained them in the draft, understanding that in certain districts, residential districts, they made sense. I think that might be something you can consider. I don't feel like the draft as it's currently written opens the city up to a great amount of risk, understanding sort of the built-in restrictions that we have.
Could we limit these to only residential districts?
Cool.
So you don't have the industrial problem? But then that, I guess that's going to turn away some green initiatives that Patrick probably would hate us for. So
Yeah, I know I've heard about companies in the city that have a willingness or a desire on a high level to go down this road.
I feel like those companies or companies like that would probably take advantage of something like that, or be more willing than some residents.
Mr. Amalia, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm sensitive to being called green anything other than Irish.
yeah.
I will say that some of your fears are founded. Most of our wins of late have been European-based. They are taking their carbon footprint much more seriously than your average American company is. One of our wins out in the JED, Biga, is bought much more land than they need and is considering solar field type applications. So
In the JED?
in the JED, yes, not here. Well, they're not here, so. But long and short, there is a real interest in that from European-based companies who would very much like to have that, and sometimes their American management can receive bonuses for making sure that their facilities are carbon neutral. So they have an incentive from their own pocket to look at that. I don't know if that's typical or just the people that I've spoken to, but that is something to consider.
Another thing to consider is when we have businesses and stuff like that, is that if they go to add solar panels to the roof, there has to be a very extensive study to make sure solar panels, I don't know what they weigh per square, whatever the case may be, but you would be adding a substantial amount of weight to a roof. And before anybody could even put one on there, they would have to have engineered plans that show that not only can it support the solar panels, but any snow accumulation or water accumulation that's on there.
I don't think we're worried about rooftop industrial. You go put them on your roof all day. We're worried about driving down Phillips Parkway and seeing nothing but fields and fields of solar panels.
I'm worried about rooftop because you would have people that would just go ahead and just put them up there, and then all of a sudden in the wintertime, we get a 2-foot snow and the roof collapses. So I would definitely like to know if someone plans to add solar panels to the roof, because there'd be a lot of hoops that they would have to jump through in order to do that. But most of our industrial properties around here, I don't know how many, there are some in other locations that have more space than but it was designed that way. It was designed for them to add solar panels to it. If you go down Phillip Parkway, I don't know where there's really anybody that has enough space to put more than a few. So, just saying.
I thought when we brought this, or when we talked about this last time, one of our talking points was that we wanted to allow ground arrays, just not massive ones. So I think the challenge now is we've got these written pretty well to protect against a lot of it. How do we fine tune it to ensure that we protect against all of it? Because I don't think we're fully covered. I think we're 85% of the way there, but there are definitely, in my opinion, holes that, as John said, certainly could be taken advantage of. Like I said, there's nothing preventing a company from doing it, provided they meet all the setbacks and have all the right, ducks in a row. And if we don't want that, if we don't want, a 10-acre solar farm in the industrial district, but we still want to allow the companies to be able to put something in, how do we regulate or limit that so everybody wins?
Just want to point, it's in line with the conversation that's going on now, but on page 2, 3C, lot coverage.
Yeah.
In the event the zoning district does not have a lot coverage limit for detached accessory buildings, it shall not exceed 25% of the usable building area. And usable building area is defined in the detached accessory building regulations.
But which page are we on?
2, so it's 3C. So it would be ground mounted solar energy facilities, and then the lot coverage is capped at 25% of the usable building area, which is the rear yard of the property. After you take out the 10-foot setback from the principal structure, and then your setbacks. Then you have your usable building area, you're allowed to cover 25% of that. So I think that was an additional restriction that I think may help to close that 85% to closer to 100. I mean, the best way to fully eliminate it is to not allow ground mounted in non-residential districts, or in some districts. That's the other way you could go.
Yes?
Thanks, Ms. Glenn. I'd like to know Mr. O'Malley's take on this, on the commercial and industrial side, since you deal with bringing business into Streetsboro and you kind of know the future of what's going on. What we have here, is this going to dramatically impact our growth with businesses, and what do you think that we should do?
Councilman, in fairness, I have not read this.
Okay.
I don't know. I will put this in perspective for you. And one of our biggest challenges in getting new businesses here is the excess capacity of the grid. It is becoming increasingly challenging for, First Energy has restructured its economic development department. It used to be that I could say, I'm going to submit this site for this project. This project needs 10 megawatts. It's served right now by a 69 kVA line. Do you have the capacity in the system to serve that? And if not, what upgrades are needed? I can't get a straight answer on that. First Energy has had some well-publicized problems that are causing to change some things. But everything from data centers trying to get what is known as behind the meter applications, so that they're not directly fed from First Energy, but are instead served from like a 345 kVA line. Energy and electricity's availability is one of our entire region's biggest challenges. You could make some of that up perhaps with a solar array. I don't know how much. That is not something we studied in any of my economics classes. I would be happy to read this and to contact some of my colleagues in the field and see if they have any thoughts on the matter. Report back to you, but like I said, I haven't read this. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
What do we want to do? Do we need to keep this on the committee agenda until those, at least the function, the changes to the attachment are made? I don't know if we have to do that. Or do we want to see, I'm just confused on where we're at. I don't know if we want to see any changes made. The 25% lot coverage makes me feel a lot more comfortable, because that really reduces the area, the amount of area you can, even on a large lot, that you can use.
That is correct. For building mounted, or for
ground mounted, right? Yeah.
My apologies.
So I'm okay with it. I think at this point, with at least with the structural changes that need to be made to the amendment and the one misspelling. I would like to see the windows permitted, but not the other stuff at 100%. I'd like to see that change. I know Ms. McTinian would like it all to change, so I don't know where the rest of council is on that, but
I'd like it changed to allow the windows also, because you showed me a picture and it doesn't look, it looks acceptable to me.
So all we would do there is just add windows. It would be windows/skylights up to 100%.
Yeah.
And then leave siding and exterior materials as it's drafted.
that's what I'd like to see. I'm interested in what the rest of the council think.
Yeah, I think if I could ask that council consider doing first read so that we're moving closer to adoption, understanding that we're going to have to make some changes. I mean, obviously we'll fix that typo. But I do need to get consensus from council on what we just talked about. I have no problem making any changes council wants, but I need clear direction for those changes.
When's the moratorium in?
September
26th, I think.
So,
So it essentially accommodates
extra-
3 reads,
and 30 days.
the 30 days to become effective before the moratorium is up.
Good.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Yes.
I would like to leave in committee. We have time. I think there's a number of things we should think about, and I know the aesthetic issues people care about, and I care about that too, but you've got to consider, not everybody's going to be doing this. Very few people are going to be putting on solar materials, exterior materials on their home. They're just drive around. Nobody's doing that. But it's an option, and I think we need to leave people's options open. And I still say this visual buffer and screening, I agree. You don't want to drive and see a panel after panel after panel. You're not going to. So I think we need to loosen up on these things. I think we want to hear some other info from Mr. O'Malia, so I would suggest we just leave it in committee instead of moving it forward with some outstanding question mark.
The only problem is if we leave it in committee, then the moratorium expires, then we have no coverage.
So Mr. Ring, if I could just mention something. So when you pass the ordinance putting the moratorium in place, it allowed council to extend the moratorium.
Okay.
I would just ask that you revisit or extend the moratorium at the next available meeting to allow us to finish the conversation. It shouldn't be open-ended. There should be a number of months. But I fully expected if there were revisions or changes that were needed or wanted to this draft, that we can do that. I would just suggest that we extend the moratorium whatever amount of months council is comfortable with. I would just suggest that it not be left open-ended.
Oh, Mr. Yupa, did you have a comment?
Paul Yupa, 8749 Seasons Road. One question, would shipping containers be considered, or could they possibly be considered an accessory building? Or would they be considered a storage shed? Or, because they're more and more popular that people are using those for actually even buildings.
We would consider them a detached accessory building.
Thank you.
Okay, so what are we doing? We're going to keep it in committee and extend the moratorium?
That's what it sounds like.
Okay. Like, what, 3 months, or what do you think?
I would say either 3 or 6 months. If we did 6 months, it takes the pressure off. If we do 3, there's probably, I don't anticipate that this thing gets put on its head.
No.
You obviously want to hear from Patrick or get some input from Patrick. And then as far as I'm concerned, relative to the changes to the ordinance, it's just getting consensus from all of council to direct me to make the changes that all of council is in line.
Yeah, he needs some clear direction, so we can do that now if you want. We can make motions for what we want, and everybody can vote on them, or we can wait till the next meeting.
Yeah, it doesn't matter to me. I just need clear direction, and I would suggest or recommend that we extend the moratorium ordinance, however that's done, Joe. I don't know if that's a new ordinance or if that's an amendment to the old ordinance. I do remember that there was a provision in there that said that it could be extended at council's.
I'd have to review it. I'm not familiar with that one. I'm not familiar with the solar moratorium, but I haven't read it. But we can review it and put it on next week or next council meeting, and if we can decide what appropriate legislation is needed and get it on there for you guys.
Well, since we want to hear from Patrick before really making any final decisions on all the changes, and then we'll get that next meeting. But I'll just make a motion at this point to move this to the next service meeting.
Second.
First and a second to move this item to next month's service committee meeting?
No, the next service committee meeting.
Right.
Which
would be next month.
Next month, yeah, I guess you're right.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved to next month's Service Committee meeting.
Thank you.
Item B, T7804, authorize applications for CMAQ AMATS funding to improve State Road 303 and Frost Road. Mr. Cheka.
Thank you, Ms. Glenn. So this is, we've gone through this a couple times. This is our application to widen Frost and separately to widen 303 through AMATS, giving us that council authority.
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved to tonight's full council meeting. Item C, P7805, acquisition of state highway easement from Chase for City Center Crosswalk. Mr. Cheka.
Thank you. Yes, this is great. So last council meeting, I received for the Baines property across from the city center. And since that time, I acquired the approval of the Chase Bank property for that sidewalk. Be able to jog around the traffic control box there and pull that's into the sidewalk.
Any questions?
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and a second to move this to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, this item has been moved to tonight's full council. Item 5, announcements. There will be a Finance Committee meeting immediately following this meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Do I have a second for that?
Second.
First and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we are adjourned.
Just one more thing on the legislation. John, can you just, since we didn't do anything with it, when you present it at the next meeting, can you make those title changes and the changes in the body of it? So we won't even have to make a motion to make those changes.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any changes need a motion.
Not if we haven't.
It's
It's still in committee, so
The committee makes the motion to make the change.
yeah, but he's only presented this to the committee. He's representing the exhibits and representing the legislation at the next meeting. Why would we have to make a motion to make a change on that? Oh, because it's already got a T.
If it's different than what it
it's
was.
cleaner to do it. However, Caroline, I mean,
And if council ends up passing anything different than what planning commission submitted to us,
Yeah.
we need the 6 systems
Yeah.
again too. Okay. To be clear.
Well, then I'll wait till we're in a.
I mean, the
I'll
only
wait till-
changes that we discussed were the changes to the whereas statement in the legislation and the title of the legislation that planning commission never sees.
Yeah, but it's already got a T, so we'll wait to make the motion at the next. That's Carolyn.
Ready?
Sure.
Make a motion, I'll call this Finance Committee meeting of Monday, July 28th, 2025 to order. Caroline, can you please call roll? Here.
Mr. Lombardo.
Here.
Ms. Wagner. Yeah. Ms. McDaniel. Present. Ms. Glenn.
Here.
Mr. Ring.
Here.
Mr. Mishner.
Here.
Thank you. Item 3, disposition of minutes, regular Finance Committee meeting of June 23rd, 2025.
Motion to adopt is written.
Second.
A first and a second to adopt as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Those minutes are disposed of. Item 4, before I go over to Mr. Matt Miller, Caroline, you want to talk about the fraud questionnaire?
We've had a request from the auditors to make sure that all the elected officials have submitted their fraud questionnaire. So there's a few people that hadn't submitted theirs yet, so I put hard copies in your packet pile today. So if you could please physically fill them out and hand them to Mr. Miller, he'll get them to the auditors and we can get the audit.
We get dinged if you don't.
Yeah.
And I'll stay over just to collect those because I'll upload those to the auditor in the morning.
We need to time.
We won't adjourn the meeting until you get it done. We're staying here all night.
Well, not all night, but
Thank you. Caroline? All right, Mr. Matt Miller.
All right, I'll do the quarterly credit card review first. There is nothing to report in regards to our credit line for the city. In regards to the monthly financial report, we're at the halfway mark with the June reporting, so we're hoping everything is around 50%. In regards to the general fund, our expenses were right about 51%, 45 actual expenditures, 1% in transfers, and 5% open POs. We have significantly less transfers this year due to this time last year we had done about $2 million in transfers to the 401 fund as we were very capital heavy last year. In regards to revenues for the general fund, we're at about 62%, which is about almost where we were at last year in regards to percentage of the budget collected, and overall about 59%. I'll take just to give a little extra, since we are halfway through the year, for our cash position, cash is king. In June, we were about $650,000 net positive across all the funds. We brought in $650 more than we spent. Going back all the way to January through June, we were a little bit over $2 million of cash position. And of that $2 million, about 1.8 is the general fund. One of the things that we do after the 13th pay, once Kara books payroll, we run reports and do a lot of doing analysis on salaries, because there's 26 pays, 13 pays, pretty simple. So one of the things that we noticed in the one-on-one fund, we have about between salaries and benefits, we have about 10.7 million payroll in the one-on-one fund. And we actually had a little bit of savings January through June, about $250,000. And that's spread across just a few departments. Most of our positions are filled, but we did have some salary benefits savings in the city, and I'll come back to that number in a little bit. Other two major funds, the road fund, we had about $90,000. We have a position that's open there, and then our water fund has been fully staffed. We don't have any savings into the water fund. One of the main drivers to why we have that increase in cash position is obviously income tax. We are at 65% of the budget through June. That extra 15% equals about $2 million. One thing, there's a phrase in finance where when the tide's in, all boats float. And what that with so much increase in income tax, that helps a lot of other revenues that aren't as strong performing. Most of our, I group things in baskets, classification baskets, but most of our revenues are, whether it's hotel, motel tax, county, local government up a little bit. I'm expecting that to get hit with the sales tax holiday in August. But obviously, income tax is driving. Withholding is up almost $200,000, about 3%. So that's really driving. We do have a lot of net profit, which I don't rely as much upon. And that kind of segues into one of the I've never brought this to council before. Mayor and I will discuss it internally, but we have an internal metrics that I haven't come up with a name for it. We just kind of call it the tax to benefit ratio. And what that does for me is, for the general fund, how does it look for our income tax collections versus all of our salary and benefits? Because as a city, we should be able to operate based on income tax. That's our main thing. And, through June, I combined individuals and withholding that I get from Rita, and that totaled about $7.4 million. And our salary and benefits were about 6.8. So I like seeing that ratio, meaning we aren't spending more than we are receiving in individual and withholding, if that makes sense. Because a lot of withholding in individuals is driven, it's the local income tax. And you kind of want to keep those ratios similar. Now, that puts us up about 5 or 50,000. If I didn't have that 250,000 salary savings, I'm really about a 300,000 above ratio, if that makes sense. And so we've come close to dipping under that ratio in the past, but right now we show a pretty strong position in regards to just the different salary and benefit things that we pass here in the city. We want to make sure our income tax is keeping tax as well as net positive. So that's just a ratio that I've never brought before, but something that we like to look at internally just to make sure that we're keeping a handle on the finances. Our interest revenue, $86,000 in June. Year to date, we have received a little over $500,000 in interest revenue for passive income. That's pretty good. As regards to our other major revenue, of course, is for the water fund. They are up about $185,000 from last year. At this time, it's even though we increased the rate. Last year at this time they were at 48% collected. This year we're at 51%. So there's about a 3% increase in that revenue line. And last but not least, the general fund carryover. In June of last year, we were at 1.8 based on the budget, above the 25% threshold. This year, based on the budget, we're at about 2.9, above that 25% threshold. Any questions on the half-year financials?
Questions from City Council? Mr. Ring.
You said general fund were cash up about 1.8.
Yes, sir.
That's good to hear, only because if state senate decides to override Dwayne's veto, we're going to be down probably pretty close to that.
We discussed this a lot internally, and as we actually just opened up budgets in the system, or to about a little over a month to enter all the budgets, and it's been a topic, especially with myself and the mayor. We've had some pretty good internal discussions on how we would react to that, because we do have a plan. We just don't really publicize it on how we would approach something like that. But I can say, the person who looks at the numbers the most, the city is in a good position. It would definitely hurt to the tune of about $2.3 million. But again, this is something I never thought I would see in regards to property taxes being eliminated. But part of the strategy, and I guess not really strategy, reliability is on the schools, because the schools would lose so much. I'm expecting they're hiring a very good law firm, and as they cumulatively come together, since they all have the same mandate of education, unlike cities where we kind of have our own different initiatives, each city, I feel like the schools will send it to the Supreme Court, and that even gives us even more time where they might put a hold on it. I'm not sure how that works legality, but this happened in the past with when the state tried to centralize net profit tax collection, and then they tagged on a fee. Well, it was lawsuit after lawsuit. Everybody lawyered up and went, and then it was ruled unconstitutional. So now the state collects our money for free. They have decided to hold on to the money for an extra month to make interest income, which I've noticed. But eventually they have to give us the collection that they don't make other than interest income. They're not going to make money. So in regards to the real estate property tax, I'm expecting a lot of lawsuits. And if the Supreme, whichever way the Supreme Court rules, the city of Streetsboro definitely has a plan already to implement.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Item 5, old business. There are no items. Before we go into new business, I wanted to see if any of the citizens had comments tonight. We will be going into an executive session, which might be a little lengthy. I didn't know if anyone had anything to talk about, so I'll just move citizens' comments up if anybody is, everybody's okay with that.
Thank you, Ted Hurd, 769 David Drive, Streetsboro. I just want to make one quick comment is that I do like the hiding of the ground-mounted solar panels, only because I think maybe driving by on the street, you may not notice them, but if you live in a small neighborhood, if 2 or 3 of your neighbors get them, then all of a sudden you're surrounded by ground-mounted solar panels that every time you look out your window, that's what you're seeing. So they could camouflage them.
Thank you. If there's no other ones, I'll move on to new business. Item A, motion to reschedule the December finance and regular council meetings. Mr. Matt Miller.
Yeah, this is just a request to move the final council meeting to the week, the last week of the year, which would be December 29th. That not only frees up Christmas week, which usually people can be out of town for, but it also, our 26th payroll is Christmas week. And so we could have, we'll turn that around rather quickly, make sure that there's no salary lines that are over budget. Then I can bring that to council on Monday, the 29th.
What's it currently scheduled for? The
22nd.
Second.
Any issues with that, anybody? Anyone want to make a motion?
I'll abstain. I won't even be up here anymore, so.
Oh. Sad to think about.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Well, I mean, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move the December finance and regular council meetings from December 22nd to December 29th.
You should make them come in on Christmas Day. Let's do it. First and a second to move the meeting from December 22nd to December 29th. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, our meeting has been moved.
Thank you. Follow-up question to that then.
Okay.
If we move the meeting from the 22nd to 29th, that would make package due Wednesday, the 24th, and I'd rather not do it on Christmas Eve. Can I do it on Friday, the 26th? Because we're out 24 and 25, I can do it the 26th. Because if we try to make it Monday, the 22nd, that makes it tight for Matt to get his final appropriation adjustment and everything in.
Leaning on the 15th of December? Or no?
No, she wants it on the day after Christmas, 26th.
Are we here? Are you here that day? You're not.
I'm out the 24th and 25th.
You're coming to work on the 26th.
I will. It's an office day. I plan to be here.
You won't be here when the 29th?
26th.
Oh,
You're not doing the packets. She's doing the packets. Tony's volunteered to do the packets.
If you give me a motion and authorize it.
I mean, if you're going to be here, we don't want to make you come in the day after Christmas if you're not going to.
I'll be here the 26th. I just don't want to do it on the 24th, which is the Wednesday that usually would be when
Yeah, I'm
we
fine
would
with
send out
that.
packages.
Yeah, Christmas Eve, it makes no sense. I mean,
You gotta make a motion.
you make a motion to make Caroline do this on the 26th. Force her.
Second.
Thank you.
First and a second to move packet day to December 26th. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Now we need to make a motion to add the 26th as an extra holiday for City Hall. To come in on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. Hearing none, motion carries.
Executive session's going to be really long tonight.
All right, item B, T7806, ratify SRO MOU with the schools. Mayor Broskin.
This is just to continue on the MOU with the schools. This will be the first year where the school starts paying a portion of the SRO. They'll be responsible for 50% of the cost of the SRO, and this is just a ratification of that.
Mr. Ring. Oh, we were here too. But
No. You're from July of 2025 starting July, they pay, but when we passed this, there wasn't an expiration on it, right?
No, this is just a reiteration, is all it is. It just.
But we've already passed it, right?
By legislation.
We haven't?
Well,
we had to.
It expires on January 1, 2029, so why
Yeah.
do we have them do it again?
The term of the SRO MRU shall commence on August 19th, 2024 and expire on January 1st, 2029. Why would we have to redo, if we already approved this, why would we have to do it again?
It should just continue in effect.
Just, I guess that's just so it continues to remain in effect. I don't know.
It was one of the first questions posed to us, and we just felt more comfortable with re-ratifying it, given that we're new here, we're going over the agreement, we're here, it doesn't harm anything to re-ratify it. I think we should re-ratify it for the year 2025.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Want to make a motion and move it?
I will make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
Second.
First and second to move to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that item has been moved. Item C, T7807, purchase IT equipment for the new city hall. Mr. Matt Kaufman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hannon. So this is just the IT equipment that we are responsible for the new city hall. And I want to apologize for not getting you guys a memo on this. I always send it, and I told Caroline that I would have it, and it just slipped.
I was wondering where it was.
I was wondering too, just two of us.
I always send them, but this is just the way that we're doing the IT, the wiring and everything with the new city hall. Another contractor is going to be doing the wiring, but we are going to supply the equipment that they install. So this is the purchase of the equipment that they'll be installing for the security readers and cameras and all of that stuff, as well as a few new switches that we're going to be putting in place as well.
Is this just the security system? We're not talking about cameras for council, for videoing the council meetings. We're not talking about anything like that, right? Projectors, like this is just security equipment?
This is just security and a little bit of the back-end IT stuff for that security equipment,
Okay.
yes.
Thank you.
The cameras for council chambers, TVs, projector and all that will come at another council meeting. We're still reviewing all that internally.
Very good, thank you. There's no further discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council.
And first and second to move this item to tonight's full council.
Mr. Ring.
I just want to clarify something about the MOU for the SRO officer, because this is the year that we're doing cost sharing. It has to be fully legislated and fleshed out, and that's the reason why we did it. So,
Thank you.
apologies.
That's okay, thank you.
I have a first and a second. Move that to tonight's full council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that item has been moved. Thank you. All right, item D, we have a motion to recess into executive session to consider economic development opportunity and employment hiring and firing. I have a entertained motion.
So moved.
First and a second to recess into executive session. Roll call, please.
Yes.
McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes. All right, we're now in executive session.
We'll go with the first three here. Do you have any ideas of what we should put here? And are these the same questions from last year? I was smarter last
Motion to reconvene finance out of executive session.
First and second to reconvene from executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're back at our meeting. Should I add them now or should I wait till after this next time?
Is this, let me ask her, is this what the T is going to be? Okay, so we need to add this to this. So I'll make a motion to add T7809 as item G in the Finance Committee.
Second.
Second.
First and second to add item G, or sorry, as item G, T7809. List that as separation agreement with David Knott. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that item G has been added. H.
I don't have anything. Do we have a T number?
Yeah, the next one, 7810.
Okay. For the.
It was the last thing we handed out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right, I'll make a motion to add T7810 as item H to the Finance Committee agenda. That'll be listed as an acknowledgement of change of control presented by Layer Zero.
Second.
Second.
First and a second to add item H, T7810, acknowledging the notice of change of control with Layer Zero. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item H has been added. Thank you, Mr. Ring. Item F, T7803, amend 2025 annual appropriations number 7, Mr. Matt Miller.
Yes, this will be seventh budget just request for this year. Some of the major highlights, gen revenue and expenses. We need to do a budget adjustment on that. We collected about 40,000 overall on the first half with the JED, so I need to move some money there. We're also doing a budget adjustment for part-time fireman contract that was recently signed. This is an estimation of what we'll need in regards to the salary budget. We also are working on insurance for our light poles. We're pursuing some of these people that are hitting our light poles, but I also need to give our service directors some funds in order to order that since there's long lead times. We also have the Chase property acquisition that Justin brought before you tonight. And then we're also moving some money for the Visitors Convention Bureau. Any questions?
Mr. Ring?
Thank you. What? Help me understand the Visitor and Convention Bureau, why we haven't already, that wasn't already accounted for? Was it just because we're getting more? Because we only, how much do we give them a year? We give them a set amount, right?
We give them a set amount. I mean, they are collecting more this year, but what we're also doing is we do this every quarter. We remit to them, but it comes out of a different special revenue fund. And so in speaking with my team, we're trying to get for the rest of the year. But
what we don't give them a percentage. Don't we give them a set dollar amount, or is it a percentage?
It's a percentage of collection.
Okay, all right.
So out of the 6% hotel motel tax, the VCB gets 1.5.
Okay. And you're just trying to, because we're getting more in collection, you're trying to.
Yeah, we're very conservative with hotel motel, and it's delightful when it goes up. It's a good problem to have.
And this is just is this just appropriation at this point, not a PO, right? Like you're not actually giving the money, you're just appropriating it?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. That's all I need.
Thank you, Mr. Ring. Any other questions? Motion to move this.
Make a motion to move T7803 to tonight's full council.
I have a first and a second to move this item to tonight's full council meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, the item has been moved. Item G, Mr. Ring, does Caroline have a copy of this?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, sorry. Item G, 7809, separation agreement with David and Ox.
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move this to tonight's full council. That as emergency written?
Yeah.
Yeah, as emergency.
First and second to move that item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item has been moved. And item H, T7810, the ordinance acknowledging a notice of change of control by Layer 0.
There's no discussion. I'll make a motion to move to 7810 to tonight's full council as emergency.
First and second to move this item. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, item has been moved. Item 7, any citizens' comments tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, announcements. A regular council meeting will immediately follow this. Entertain a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
First and second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Do we just need to reconvene? Make a motion to...
Okay.
Make a motion to reconvene the council meeting.
First and second to reconvene regular council. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we're reconvened. Item 3, disposition of minutes, the regular council meeting of July 14, 2025.
Motion to accept as presented.
Second.
A first and second to accept. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, they are accepted. Item 4, citizens' comments. Seeing none. Item 5, reports, communications from departments, boards, and commissions. Chief Reynolds.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Ring. It's been a busy 2 weeks for us. We've had 2 small fires. One fire, a dryer. A lady went to bed after she overloaded her dryer and then filled up the house with smoke. Smoke detector is probably the cheapest form of life insurance you can buy. That's what alerted her to the smoke. And just filled up the house full of smoke. And then we had another fire, a stove fire, kitchen fire. We went to Hudson for another fire. This morning we were on the turnpike for an extrication. Car on his side. We had to get the lady out. So we've been busy with fire and EMS calls. We've also been out to local Tinkers Creek Chapel for their International Mud Day. So they had a big pile of mud or dirt, and we brought our tanker and dumped water on it, and it was sponsored by Tide detergent. No, it wasn't. So we've been this is an annual event we've been doing for the past 3 years. And training-wise, we were up at the high school. We made the local paper. We went up there to practice putting up ladders. It'll damage the outside of our building, putting up the ladders due to the construction. So we have to find somewhere to go, and usually we go to Target. Well, this year we went to the high school, and we actually practiced putting up our aerial ladder. And we had school on aerial ladder and ground ladders. And then tomorrow and the rest of the week we'll be practicing pump operations, flowing water while we're out there. And that's about it.
Great, thank you. Chief Wayne, what's new and exciting?
I don't know which way is working. All right. We try and avoid exciting in our, it's one of those words we try not to summon, exciting, things like that. We have 2 things that we're working on right now. The dispatcher application has been extended. So again, if you know anybody that's interested, it's open till I believe the end of this week. And also, some of you may have seen on our social media post over the weekend, we're taking calls for anybody with, if you have a resident that has maybe a fall risk, a family member who might be special needs, maybe nonverbal. If there's medical issues in the house, we're taking that information, we're putting it in our records management system. And the reason that we're doing that is to give the officers any kind of help that they can get when we get welfare check calls. This one, the reason we did it this weekend is it stemmed from a call where a neighbor called and was concerned about their 84-year-old neighbor that they hadn't seen, and their garage door was open and her car was in the garage, and that never happens. So we start to get concerned if there's somebody injured in the house, or perhaps they've fallen and are unable to get to a phone or can't get up. And there was no medical background at the house, and officers couldn't see anything in the windows. They actually got to the point where they tried picking the lock on the doors. They got one out of the two of them, but they couldn't get the second one. And that leaves us with the point, if we can't find family, that we're looking at kicking in doors. And while they can, and they do like to kick in doors, we also don't want to pay for door frames if we don't have to. So anybody that can share that information, we can put it in our management system and get contact information for emergency contacts, get the residents' phone numbers, get if there is medical information for the household. Because not everybody uses our ambulance system if they have medical emergencies. Sometimes they'll take themselves to the hospital, and we don't know we have somebody at the house that has, heart issues or is a type 1 diabetic. So any of that information that we can get in our system helps the officers make a choice on whether they're actually going to try and make entry, especially if we can't get a hold of family. So if you have family members like that, you talk to any of your residents, please share. We'd like to get as much of this information in our system as possible. We're also referring to the fire department for Knox boxes, but within our system, we will also take like door codes, neighbors that have keys, anything like that, where we can just make it a little bit easier for the guys when they're out on the road trying to make those decisions on, I don't really see anything, but I also don't want to leave somebody laying on the floor in their bathroom because nobody's checked on them. So that is the big project for right now.
Very good. Thank you. Seger, Parks and Rec. Is your mic? Is her mic on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Clerk started today. Very long awaited. We've been without Rachel now for quite some time, so it's very welcomed. We have our part-time front desk will be starting on Monday. So again, that'll bring us up to almost fully staffed. So we're getting there one piece at a time. We've got the Brew Bash obviously coming up. With that, some attention's been turned to City Park. You'll notice the mulching around the library, around the trees, the pavilion work that Mr. Miller so graciously helped us out with. And also the bathrooms, you guys may have seen there's a post. They're doing some interior work in there, getting some paint, ceiling, all that kind of good stuff. Other than that, still working on the back end of our registration software and just keep moving forward. So.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. O'Malley?
One of our residents has recently decided to dive into the realm of entrepreneurship. Mike Truxell, who I believe is in Jen's ward, is opening up a combination barbershop / tattoo studio in Gateway Plaza. It's going to be called Oh Hooligans. And we have been without a traditional barber for some time. So I think it'll be worthwhile to have somebody that is open more frequently and regularly.
Very good. Thank you. Mr. Chaskowski.
Thank you. I had a rather lengthy Zoom call with the sign code update consultant last week. Our goal is to try and get a draft to the Planning Commission for their August meeting. Need to touch base with her and wrap up a few things before that can happen, but that's the goal. We have also put out an RFP/RFQ for updates to the use lists in the zoning code. It's the contractual services item that we budgeted for in this year's budget. I'm expecting responses, or I've requested that responses from that RFP be submitted by August 15th. Then we will review them, hold interviews, and make a selection after we do that. But hoping to wrap the sign code up sooner than later. Obviously, we need to give time for the Planning Commission to review it. My apologies that that's taken so long. There were some life things that popped up this year that have put me behind the 8 ball and slowed some things down. But we are making good progress, and I feel with where we're at, working hard to get the sign code update for the Planning Commission as soon as possible.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Mr. Chuskowski, or Chuckeye.
Give my time to the Millers.
All right. Mr. Bill Miller.
We're just doing our normal thing, nothing out of there. Repaired a few sidewalks, finished Big D sidewalk that was in front, so that's all connected all the way through.
Nice.
Drive culverts and patching.
Great, thank you.
I'm good to go. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it. Joe, anything from law?
Thank you. No report this evening.
Thank you. All right, moving on. Introduction of legislation containing statement of emergency.
Make a motion to suspend the rules on T7803, T7804, T7805, T7806, T7807, T7809, and T7810.
I'll second the motion.
The first and second to suspend the rules of 3 readings for said T numbers. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes. All right, T7803, amend 2025 annual appropriations. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance amending ordinance number 2024-164, the 2025 annual appropriation ordinance number 7.
I'll make a motion to adopt.
Second.
The first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7803 now becomes ordinance 2025-89. All right, T7804, authorize applications for CMAQ AMATS funds to improve State Route 303 and Frost Road. Caroline, please read by title.
A resolution authorizing the mayor to apply for federal congestion mitigation air quality funds programmed by the Akron Metropolitan Area Transportation Study, AMATS, to improve the State Route 303 corridor and the Frost Road corridor, also known as PORCR 197 Frost Road Phase 2, and declaring an emergency in order to comply with the application deadline.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
And Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7804 now becomes ordinance 2025-90. T7805, acquisition of state highway easements from Chase for City Center Crosswalk. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement between the city of Streetsboro and 8727 Streetsboro LLC for the acquisition of easements on parcel number 350450000044-004 for the pedestrian signal at City Center project in the city of Streetsboro and declaring an emergency, to authorize the agreements and proceed with the project as soon as possible.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7805 becomes ordinance 2025-91. T7806, ratify SRO MOU with schools. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance ratifying a memorandum of understanding between the City of Streetsboro and the Streetsboro City School District Board of Education for the assignment of a school resources officer and declaring an emergency in order to implement the executed agreement.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
The first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannan.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel. Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
And Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7806 now becomes ordinance 2025-92. T7807, purchase IT equipment for new city hall. Caroline, please read by title.
Says an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract without competitive bidding with Ubiquity Inc. and Amazon for the purchase of security access control system, cameras, and related accessories for the new city hall, and declaring an emergency in order to respond to time-sensitive proposals.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
A first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Was it Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Mishniak and, I'm sorry, and you said,
Kelly.
okay, Mr. Lombardo
Yes.
and Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7807 now becomes ordinance 2025-93. All right. T7809, separation agreement with David Knott. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance approving a separation agreement between the city and David Knott and declaring an emergency in order to implement the separation agreement according to its terms.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
The first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannon.
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo.
Yes.
Ms. Wagner.
Yes.
Ms. Glenn.
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak.
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel.
Yes.
And Mr. Ring.
Yes. T7809 now becomes ordinance 2025-94. All right. T7810, recognition of change of control with layer 0. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to acknowledge a notice of change of control presented by Layer Zero Power Systems, Inc. pursuant to their economic incentive agreement with the city of Streetsboro and declaring an emergency in order to respond to the time-sensitive request.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Okay, first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7810 now becomes 2025-95. First reading, there are none. Second reading, there are none. Third reading, T7991, approve internal cyber policy. Caroline, please read by title.
An ordinance adopting the City of Streetsboro, Ohio Comprehensive Information Technology Policies, Procedures, and Standards Handbook.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
The first and second to adopt. Caroline, please call roll.
Mr. Hannon?
Yes.
Mr. Lombardo?
Yes.
Ms. Glenn?
Yes.
Mr. Mishniak?
Yes.
Ms. McDaniel?
Yes.
Ms. Wagner?
Yes.
Mr. Ring?
Yes. T7791 now becomes ordinance 2025-96. Item 10, Mayor's Report continued.
Thank you. City Hall is about 65% complete. They're hanging drywall and are moving dirt out front in preparation for the flag plaza that's going to be installed by our service department. Service department has also been kicking butt down at the city park with the restrooms and the pavilions and stuff like that to make them. We wanted them to shine a little bit for the beer and barbecue bash. We're going to be on center stage, so we want to make them look good. And Billy's guys stepped up. Samantha's guys have been doing a great job with all the other aesthetics down there. Along with that, Miracle Lane is going out to bid, or it's out to bid, and we'll get those bids back on the 13th of August, and we'll award the bid shortly thereafter. We didn't want them working during, if we couldn't get them done before, we're gonna get them done after. I don't want, all kinds of stuff down there while we're in the middle of this stuff. Elliman and Ferguson are gonna be, hopefully within the next couple days, they'll be starting on those. That's a precursory project for the full project next year. Price Road will start at the end of August, and that will complete our road projects for the year, right? So that's really about it.
Great.
We're moving.
Good, thank you. And item 11, President of Council's comments. I just want to thank Mr. Miller and the Service Department. I had a resident reach out and with some concerns on just potholes. And sent an email and it was taken care of rather quickly and the residents very happy. So thank you for that, Mr. Miller. Great job your department is doing. That's all I have. Ms. Glenn?
No comments tonight.
Ms. Wagner?
No comments.
Mr. Mishniak? Mr. Hain? I'm
good, thank you.
Ms. McDaniel? Mr. Vice President? All right. And we'll go to announcements. There will be a Safety Committee, Service Committee, and regular council meeting Monday, August 11th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in council chambers.
Adjourn.
First and second to adjourn, all in favor? Aye. You've heard. Any opposed? Hearing none, we're adjourned. So we go.
Oh, heck. Talk to you, please.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Someone must have been watching the meeting. Oh, they're adjourned. Call.